In the summer of 404 BCE, the narrow coastal pass of Thermopylae became the stage for one of the most legendary last stands in human history. It was here that King Leonidas of Sparta and his small coalition of Greek warriors faced the overwhelming might of the Persian Empire. Led by the ambitious and ruthless King Xerxes, the Persian invasion was not just a military campaign, it was an attempt to bring all of Greece under Persian rule, crushing their independence and reshaping the political landscape of the ancient world. Yet, in this tiny choke point between steep cliffs and the Aegean Sea, a few thousand Greeks would write their names into eternity, proving that courage, unity, and sacrifice could leave an imprint deeper than any empire. Greece in the early 5th century BCE was a fractured mosaic of city-states, often hostile toward each other, steeped in rivalries that occasionally erupted into outright conflict. Athens, Sparta, Thebes, Corinth, each had their own agendas, alliances, and ambitions. Yet, when news arrived that Xerxes, son of Darius the Great, was assembling an enormous invasion force to conquer Greece, the city-states recognized a greater danger than their internal disputes. This was no ordinary threat. It was a Persian juggernaut boasting a vast army and navy, intent on crushing Greek autonomy and spreading the dominion of the Persian Empire across the Aegean and beyond. The Greeks, for all their differences, understood that survival depended on unity. Sparta, famed for its disciplined and formidable land army, was tasked with leading the defense on the ground. Athens, with its growing naval power, took responsibility for confronting the Persian fleet at sea. The choice of Thermopylae as the battlefield was strategic brilliance born of necessity. This narrow pass, squeezed between the sheer cliffs of Mount Calidromon and the waters of the Malian Gulf, presented the perfect bottleneck where the Persian numerical advantage could be neutralized. Leading the defense was King Leonidas V, a warrior king molded by Sparta's rigorous militaristic culture. Sparta's society revolved around the agoge, the intense education and training system that transformed boys into elite soldiers with unshakable loyalty to their city and comrades. From this crucible came Leonidas and his famed 300 Spartans, men sworn to fight to the death to protect their homeland. But the defenders of Thermopylae were not just these 300 Spartans. They were joined by around 7,000 Greek allies from various city-states, soldiers who understood the gravity of their mission. Each man who marched into that pass knew the odds were grim, that death awaited most, if not all of them. Yet, they marched nonetheless. Their courage was not born from hope of survival, but from a profound commitment to freedom and to one another. For 2 full days, the Greeks held their ground against repeated assaults. The Persian army, enormous and diverse, featuring infantry, cavalry, archers, and the feared immortals, an elite corps of soldiers, could not capitalize on their numbers in the tight confines of the pass. The Greek hoplites, heavily armored and equipped with long spears and large shields, fought in tight phalanx formation. This dense shield wall and spear front created a near impenetrable barrier, each soldier a vital link in an unyielding chain. The battle raged with relentless intensity. Persian waves of attackers crashed against the Greek lines, but the defenders remained steadfast. Xerxes, confident in his overwhelming numbers, was stunned by the ferocity and discipline of these few thousand Greeks. Even his Immortales, feared throughout the known world, suffered embarrassing losses as the Greeks held them at bay. Each repulsed assault was a psychological blow to the Persian forces, shaking their confidence and demonstrating that sheer size alone could not guarantee victory. The narrow terrain was a great equalizer. The pass's limited width prevented the Persians from deploying their full strength at once. They had to attack in smaller numbers, neutralizing their advantage. The Greeks exploited this masterfully, using their knowledge of the terrain and superior hand-to-hand combat skills to keep the invaders at bay. Despite their valiant defense, the Greeks' position was precarious. Unknown to Leonidas and his men, a local Greek named Ephialtes betrayed their position to the Persians. He revealed a hidden mountain path that bypassed the main pass, allowing the Persian forces to flank the Greeks and threatened to surround them completely. This betrayal spelled doom for the defenders. With their position compromised and the possibility of encirclement imminent, Leonidas faced a harsh reality. To continue fighting as they were meant risking total annihilation, not just for themselves, but for the larger Greek cause. In an act of extraordinary leadership and self-sacrifice, Leonidas made a fateful decision. He ordered the bulk of the Greek forces to retreat and preserve their strength for future battles, understanding that the defense of Greece required more than one battle. But Leonidas and his 300 Spartans, alongside a small contingent of Thespians and Thebans who refused to abandon the fight, chose to stay behind and hold the pass until the very end. This was no act of despair or defeat. It was a deliberate, resolute stand, meant to buy time and inspire their fellow Greeks. They fought knowing they would likely die, yet determined to demonstrate that freedom was worth any cost. The final day of battle was a scene of unparalleled courage and desperation. As the Persians closed in from all sides, the Spartans and their allies fought with unmatched ferocity. When their spears shattered from the constant pounding, they drew their short swords. When swords broke, they fought with fists, teeth, and sheer willpower. Leonidas himself fought until he fell in battle, his body fiercely protected by his loyal soldiers to prevent the Persians from capturing or desecrating their king. Eventually, the overwhelming numbers told. The defenders were surrounded and cut down one by one. But their sacrifice was not in vain. Though the Persians won the battle and advanced further into Greece, the heroic stand at Thermopylae bought precious time for the Greek city-states to organize their defenses. The delay allowed Athens to evacuate its population and prepare its fleet for the crucial naval battles ahead. Inspired by the courage at Thermopylae, the Greeks would later decisively defeat the Persian fleet at the Battle of Salamis, using their superior naval tactics and intimate knowledge of the narrow straits to outmaneuver the larger Persian navy. This was followed by the Battle of Plataea in 479 BCE,